Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And good evening and welcome to the show. How'd you like the titles? We can't afford any of our own, so we borrow some. Jesus, they're getting mean. Look at that, half class. Right. That's good. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, which was fine until he invented the second one. Now, when I was a child in the olden days, at home in Ireland, our phone was something that you looked at. You never touched it. It was taboo, off limits. Only to be used in very serious matters, or matters of emergency, and then only by adults. This telephone used to sit in our hallway like a black god. And we always talk in kind of servile, reverential tones. As a 3-year-old, I used to tiptoe past the bloody telephone. If it rang, I'd wet myself. It was a thing of awe. I mean, it was an extraordinary thing to tell them. And when the phone rang in our house, we would all, as a unit, as a family unit, we'd all gather around it. And my father would pick up the phone. I mean, some of the greatest events in the world I discovered via the telephone. I'm 3 years of age, and my father picks up the phone then. We're all standing there, and he says, "Oh, dear," puts the phone down and turns to us all and says, "Adolf Hitler has invaded Poland." And they all went, "Oh, I'm 3. I go, "Oh." Another time, Aunt Alice is dead. And they all went, "Oh, Simon, oh." So the funeral's Tuesday, there'll be no school. Hooray! And it was a sneak as well. It knew everything, the telephone. We gathered around it one day. My father spoke into the telephone. It rang. He spoke into it. He put the phone down. He looked at me and he said, "What were you doing in Delaney's orchard?" Bloody telephone. Sneaked on me. And then, over the years, as I grew, when I was about 7, I began to deal with it in a better way. I was aware it wasn't such an extraordinary item anymore. Got a bit casual with it, but I'm still wary of it. A little bit daring. We'd pick it up occasionally and listen to the dialing tone. That's how far our daring went, the dialing tone. We'd always sit around going, I can hear the dialing tone. We'd invite friends who were always sitting around listening to the dialing tone. We'd be in school. "What did you do yesterday?" "I listened to the dialing tone." Did you? My Christ. Can I come to your house and listen to your dialing tone?" "Yeah." "I'll give you an apple." "Yeah, fine." Then you get a bit more daring. A little bit more. You actually make a phone call. You don't speak, you just make a phone call. You ring up and somebody says, "Hello, hello," and you're frozen. They put the phone down and you piss yourself a laughing. They said hello. And then you get on. There's a point, all children, you go through that kind of rude stage on telephone. You phone somebody up, you pick out a phone number or the phone book. And I pick it up, and they'd answer the phone. I say, "Willie." "Willie who?" And I go, "My Willie." When I say things, I don't think that's very funny, young man. "Cow's bum." "I think you're being a very silly young boy. Donkey's dick." It's extraordinary. How dare you even... I mean, there was a point where when I was about 12, we'd reach the final stage of grot. When you're about 12, we'd all be around the phone. We'd have the receiver. "Anybody got a fart building up?" "Yeah, I got one coming." And then we'd phone the priest or the police station. "Let them have it." And it was that stage where you go through, where you begin to pretend that you're the engineers from the telephone company. And we'd ring them up and say, "Hello, can I speak to Mr. Wall?" "Mr. Wall? Mr. Wall doesn't live here." "Oh, what about Mrs. Wall?" "No, she doesn't live here." "You have no walls in the house?" "No." "How do you keep your ceiling up?" It's amazing, the gullibility of people on phone. I suppose the worst thing we ever did was to convince people on telephones that old words from used conversation, from past conversations, like air bubbles in a water pipe, could clog up the lines. And I go, what? And you say, well, old words, past words, they're locked in the line. And the only way you can get rid of those words is to immerse your telephone in water. And these dickheads used to do it. We had one fellow said, well, I don't have a bucket of water here. I got a goldfish bowl. Will that do? And I said, yes. I said, well, when you've done it and you've taken it out, would you talk back to us to see how the words are? And you hear the phone going into... and then about 2 seconds later... But the attitude to telephones has changed enormously over the years. Now that we all have telephones. We're all aware of telephones. We react to telephones. And we're now so sophisticated, so blasé. It's not a rarity for telephones. You know? You were sitting in your house, and your telephone rings. We have actually got to the point of sophistication. We don't want to talk anymore. The telephone rings in your house, and you'll say things like, my God, is there no privacy? Can I never get away from this thing? God, I thought I'd do the whole day at work, and all the time, and I get home, and it's non-stop. Or you'll hear yourself say something like, if that's for me, tell him I'm not here. Isn't that extraordinary? And now we've reached the point that we don't want to talk to people on telephones, so we have a machine. We've developed answering machines. Machines to answer machines. The first thing you do, you come home, you listen to your answering machine. And there'll be a message to say, so-and-so rang, would you please ring back to such and such a number? And you do, and you talk to his machine. And you go out, you come back, there's another message from this bastard, so you phone his machine again. This can go on for years. You meet each other in the street, and you've got no bloody idea what you were talking about. Then there are people who actually have worked out a way of leaving a message on a telephone like they're having a conversation with you. They've timed it perfectly. They've got the gaps timed perfectly. I'll phone somebody up, and the phone will be lifted up, and they say, who is it? And I say, it's Dave Allen. And then a voice will say, how are you? And I actually think I'm having a conversation with the person. And I'll say, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? And they will say, good, fine. What can I do for you? And I'll say, listen, I've got a couple of tickets for the theatre on Tuesday next, if you like them. And they'll say things like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I go, I got a couple of tickets for the theatre on Tuesday. I say, I wonder if you could speak a little bit louder. I can't hear. I got a couple of tickets for the theatre on Tuesday night. And they'll say, hang on a second, will you? The radio's a bit loud. I'll just turn it down. And you hear them walk away. Dup, 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 dup. You hear the radio go down. You hear the dup, dup, dup. And now, sorry, what were you saying? I was saying, could you speak louder? I said I got a couple of bloody tickets for the radio. You dumb shit. And then they'll say, there's no need to shout. This is a recording. Those type of bastards, you want to get them and tear their pubic hairs out one by one. Knit them all into a scarf and strangle the bastard. You notice how perverse telephones are? If you're sitting in your house, alone, sadly lonely, feeling unloved or depressed or whatever it is, wanting, desiring some sort of contact with human beings, nobody will phone you. But on the other hand, if you're having a wonderful time, enjoying yourself to the extreme, like you haven't enjoyed yourself for a year, like you're sitting in a warm bath, a beautiful hot bath, soporific joy, pleasure seeping into every pore of your body. Oh, it's very wonderful. Or you're squeezing a blackhead. Oh, or you're making love, or doing all three at the same time. Every bastard in the world wants to talk to you. You nearly climax 7 times. Get back into the bath. Where was I? No, I wasn't. And then there's the other side with what I would call wrong numbers. The perversity of wrong numbers is extraordinary. Have you ever noticed that wrong numbers are never engaged? You notice that? You'll always get through to a wrong number. You go home tonight, Pick 10 random numbers from the phone book. They'll all answer. Hello? Now we have domestic telephones, which are capable of taking 3 incoming calls at the same time on the one receiver. And people think that, isn't that wonderful? I'm Irish. I don't know. What the hell is that about? Why have 3 calls coming in? You can only answer or speak to one person at a time. But people seem to, people seem to love this. Gives them a sense of power. You're talking to somebody on the phone saying, hello, I know it's a nice day today, and what did you do? And then they'll suddenly say, excuse me, hang on a second, will you? Would you just hang on a second? I've just got another call coming in. They go, what? I've got another call coming in. I've got one of those machines. Then they start to boast about it. I've got one of those machines that can take 3 incoming calls at the same time. So do you mind if I just put you on hold? You go, what? I'm just going to put you on hold, all right? Just for a few minutes. Hold. What? Hang on. So, wait, I was here first. Why don't you put those other people on bloody hold? Why me? And they go, and you're on hold. And not only are you on hold, not only are you paying for this, but now you're subjected to that digital crap music. You sit there, you're paying for the call, and it's going, dong, 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 dong. I mean, who wrote it? Some dyslexic throwback, for Christ's sake? You're sitting there, ding, 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 ding. You talk about advanced technology. You don't have the telephones for the deaf now, you know that? They don't ring, they just light up, so the deaf person can see there's somebody on the phone. They pick it up and say, hello. Voice, would you believe me? Voice identification buttons. This is progress. Voice identification. Your telephone is capable, once you command it, to identify a voice and remember that. So if you're talking to somebody you don't like on the telephone, you press the button. And this informs your telephone memory bank that you don't like this person. And the next time they phone, your telephone will recognize the voice and cut them off. Do you find that public telephones are vandalized? Yeah. That was a real right-wing reaction there. Vandalize, bring back the birch, hang the bastards, telephone. You know, you want to stop a public telephone being vandalized? Go in there and vomit and urinate. People actually think that telephones don't work because they're vandalized. I think they're vandalized because they don't work. They now have on telephones what is called the recall button. Come across that. The advanced technology. If you phone somebody and their number is engaged, and it's engaged probably because it's the right number, you don't have to go through that whole laborious, time-consuming exercise of actually putting your finger into the little hole or pressing those buttons. You don't have to waste time. You just program your telephone, and your telephone will continue to phone that number until it's unengaged, which sounds wonderful. But what if you go away for a holiday and forget to unplug your telephone, and you come back and your best friend's in a lunatic asylum? Because every 12 seconds the phone is going ring, ring, and he's picking up and saying, hello, 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 for Christ's sake, something. I had a telephone engineer at the house, and he's showing me the latest telephone. It has, believe it or not, I mean, I don't work for the CIA or MI5 or anybody like that, a secrecy button on the telephone. Secrecy button. It's actually clearly marked, secrecy button. And I said, what's a secrecy button? And he said, well, you know, when you're on a telephone, there's always a point in the conversation when you're talking to somebody that you don't want them to hear what you're saying. I said, there is? He said, yes, there is. It's not that you don't want to, it's just that you actually think they're an arsehole. There's always a point when you're talking to somebody and you think, what an arsehole. And what you normally do is you cover the mouthpiece and mime. You don't have to do that now. All you have to do is press the button. And you can say as loud as you like, "He's an arsehole!" And he won't hear you. And I said, well, hang on a second. If I'm talking to somebody and suddenly there's silence, I know he's pressed the button. And I know he's calling me an arsehole. And when he comes back, he'll say, now what was I saying? I was saying, you were saying I was an arsehole. I put the phone down. Now, in our society, at one time, phones were rare. Now they're commonplace. They're everywhere. Portable phones are now the in thing. I wander around London. I sit on a tube. I sit on a bus, trains, wherever I am. I see people sitting there, and they'll open a briefcase, or a handbag, or the satchel, or the pocket. Out this thing will come. They go. You see them now on the streets, walking up and down the streets in London, talking on the telephone, and it's always that kind of. Yeah, well, of course, yes. Well, I personally would, I'd keep it to my chest if I were you. I wouldn't let them know, because I think it might actually help them out. And you see these, and I'm thinking, I'm dying, I'm waiting. Oh, please, God. I go to church, I light candles. Please, God, let one of those bastards walk into a lamppost. I'd love to see them walking around. Yes, I'll phone you back. Hello, is that the ambulance service? Yeah, I broke my nose. Yes. Portable phone. Now we have portable. Now we have car phones. Car phones. Two of the most stress-making machines in the world have combined together: the telephone and the car. They account for more dead people in the world than any other two objects. Telephones and cars. Do you know the stress you go through on the telephone? Has anybody ever cut you off on the telephone? Has anybody ever said, oh, shut up, and put the phone down? Have you noticed? You continue to talk for about 10 or 15 seconds after that. You, what are you, how dare you? What the, shut up, It's the same at cars. You watch people in cars. The stress of people in cars, the rage of people in cars. See people get into cars, and they change. They go from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde, the nicest people in the world. You don't see pedestrians charging around, do you? You never seen pedestrians walk up a road, cutting up other pedestrians, have you? You never seen people move up. All of them, beep, beep, now they've got the telephone in the car with them. Driving with one hand. Get you, dickhead! No, not you. No, somebody else out there. I'm going to get one of those car telephones. Not because I want it for myself. I just want to be in a traffic jam and lean out to the person next to me and say, excuse me, it's for you. And now on telephone, we have all these useless services on telephones. For no reason at all. We have things like dial a joke, or dial a poem, or dial a prayer, or dial a blessing, dial a dirty phone call. You can actually dial dirty phone calls. Years ago, they'd fine you for doing that. Now they're paying you to bloody do it. You can sit there on a telephone, pant, fantasize, masturbate yourself to your heart's content, all for 28 pence a minute. I stumble on that. I always do when I talk about masturbation. Panting, fantasizing, and masturbating. I suppose when you're finished, you could phone and dial a confession. Catholics are into all the money makers. My children have grown up, in a sense, in a different way with the telephone than I've actually, over the years, watched my children, who are not children any longer, young adults. I've watched the hand become an extension of the phone, or the phone become an extension of the hand. It is extraordinary, the need to talk on the telephone all the time. When they were younger, I would take them to school. Say, for example, my daughter Jane. I would take her to school in the morning. And not only would I take her to school in the morning, but I'd take all her friends to school in the morning as well. There was Belinda from next door. And then there was Melissa from 2 doors down. And then there was Alexander from somewhere else down the road. And they never stopped talking. I would just pick them up and go, hello Belinda, hello Jane, hello Alexander, hello Melissa, hello Melissa, and they all get in the car. And for 40 minutes we used to drive across London, and they were all there. The four of them. Verbal diarrhea pouring in torrents out of all that. And then I would drop them at school, still talking. I'd leave them there for 6 hours, knowing they were going to talk to each other for 6 hours. I'd pick them up, they'd still be talking. Back in the car across London. I'd drop them off. Goodbye, Belinda. Bye, Jane. Bye, Alexander. Bye, Melissa. Bye, Jane. Jane would go into the house. I'd park the car. I'd go into the house. She's on the phone. Who are you talking to? Belinda. Belinda lives next door. But she'd lay guilt on you. Belinda's daddy doesn't complain. Belinda's daddy's a dickhead. And then my daughter would say to Belinda, my daddy said, shut up, for Christ's sake, shut up. Phone, and the way it affects our lives. I have a son, my youngest son now is 21 years of age. Now, I'm not a father anymore to him. I'm a personal answering service. I spend my life answering the phone for him. I mean, we'll both be in the same room, and the phone will ring. But he won't get up and answer it. I'll get up and answer it. And it's for him. Oh, I say, it's for you. Why didn't you answer it? He said, I thought it was for you. What is it with young men, especially? Up to 18 years of age, for most of them, they learn to speak English perfectly. They can speak perfect English. Hello, how are you? Good afternoon. Had a very nice day today. Then when they get to be 18, their brains become hemorrhoids. All that ability to speak the language goes. They become Neanderthal men. They begin. I mean, I watched them walk down the road. I sit at home. Edward's friends are always ringing. I pick up the phone. Hello. Hello. What is this, a yodeling competition? Apart from proving to me the ability that you have of saying, what do you want? What? I'm sorry. What are you saying? Are you saying? Fine, I know you're saying it, but what does mean? It means. But could you look? I'm sorry about this. Just bear with me. Be patient, please. Could you just do it a little bit more slowly so I can try and comprehend, right? I hear myself going. And I think, what in the name of Christ is he talking about? And then I think, wait a second. It's Ed. Maybe. My son's name is Edward. Maybe they call him Ed. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe he's saying, is Ed in? And I just try it. I say, did you say, is Ed in? No, you didn't say, is Ed in, dickhead. You said, no, he's not. And it's true, they have this need to repeat everything you say. He's not in. No, he's not in. He's out. No. Yes, he's out. If he's not in, he's out. I know it's very difficult to understand that, but when you're out, means you're not in. Or whether you're in, you're not out. It doesn't make any difference. All right? He's not here. No, he's not here. He's gone out.
When did he go out?
What?
When did he go out?
I don't know when he went out.
When are you coming back?
I don't know when he's coming back.
When did he go?
I don't know where he went. I don't know where he went, when he's coming back. I'm his father. I'm a geriatric old fart who knows nothing. And then he'll say to me,
When are you coming back?
I said, what?
When are you coming back?
And I said, when he comes back.
Yeah, when are you coming back? When you say that, Nya ring.
What?
Nya ring.
Nya?
Nya. Nya.
You want me to say to my son, when he comes home,
Nya ring. Good man.
all right, I'll do that.
Thank you. Been nice talking to you.
And when my son comes home, I say to him, I say, hey, Edward.
Nya ring.
And he knows who I'm talking about. Not only that, but I'll make up a whole conversation. And I'll say, he said, and my son will say, what time? Do we have parents here? Do we have parents in the audience? Do your children use the telephone? Have they at any time ever, once in all their lives, said to you, Daddy, Mommy, can I pay for that call? Little bastards. You spend your life with this, and then eventually they grow up and they leave home. They depart. You've got rid of them. Get out. Go away. Into the world they go. The phone will ring. It's them reversing the charges. Not to find out how you are, but whether there are any calls for them. All right, well, I think it's about time we started to live happier lives. So I will say good night. Thank you. And may your God go with you.